I was thinking November 30th, this coming Sunday, is actually the third anniversary, hard to believe, of when ChatGPT was unleashed on the world. And I only mention that as a warning that this will be the one session of the day that is not about using AI. So don't expect lots of fireworks like what you saw in the last few sessions. But what this is really geared towards is more, a lot of people out there in the world, particularly if you're, let us say, over 35 or 40, if you've been using computers, you've probably been using it over the years, using Microsoft Office and Windows PC environment. But increasingly, people are using the Google Workspace apps. What used to be called the Google Suite, now it's officially called the Google Workspace. And there is a wide variety of apps. And these are being used more and more increasingly in work settings, in school settings. So even if you're a user of Office, it's good to start getting to know how to use some of the Google Workspace apps. What often happens, I've seen with particularly people in the workplace, maybe they've been using Office for a long time, people start sharing Google Docs and Google Sheets with them, screen reader users, and they don't have time to learn it, and it's like they get a sighted person just download it as a Word doc or an Excel file or something, and they know in the end that isn't sustainable. The good news about the Google Workspace apps is that if you already know your way around your computer a bit with Office and with Windows, just getting started with the Google apps is not that hard to do. Many of the keystrokes, as we'll see, are quite similar. So I have a video here, it's about 20 some odd minutes, that talks about using Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Drive for desktop in that order. Couple of things to be said. First off, to use any of these are all online, so you have to have a Gmail account. If you don't have one, I think even in this day and age, it's good to get a Gmail account. Even that's not to say change your primary email away from your Verizon.net or Comcast or whatever it might be, but it's good to have a Gmail account because there's really so much that you can do with the Google apps, and almost certainly you're going to be exposed to them and probably needing to do more. So I'm going to start up this video. It's about 20 some odd minutes. I'll probably go out and hang out in the parking lot. You guys have to stay here and listen to it. You are condemned to do that. So let me just get this started. Now, the audio of me talking and then Samantha, the screen reader talking, might be a little bit, Samantha might be a little bit loud, but we're trying to make this so it's tolerable for you. So let me get going here.
Please.
Sure I'm in the right place.
Memory testing work 7:49. Google Maps demo 2025 space. Speech on demand.
And we will start it. When somebody shares a Google Doc with you, typically they will do that by sending you an email. There will be a link to it that you will activate, and that will get you into that document. I'm going to hit Insert T right now, and we'll see where I am.
Title is Recipe for Meatballs Google Docs Google Chrome.
And we hear the name of the file, and we hear that we're in Google Chrome. That's my web browser, and I'm in Google Docs. With both Docs and Google Sheets, for creating spreadsheets, we have some accessibility settings that you have to set. Two of them, once you've set them, they're set for good. And the third one, you need to do it every time you come into a document, at least when you're using JAWS. So the first thing is we need to enable screen reader support with the shortcut key Control-Alt-Z. I will do that now.
Alt-Control-Z, document content edit, blank, screen reader support enabled.
We also have to enable Braille support. Now you do that even if you are not using a Braille device. That is with Control-Alt-H.
Alt-Control-H, document content edit, recipe for meatballs heading level 1, Braille support enabled.
And as I said, that is a one-time only thing. So if you get out of here, come back tomorrow, those will be enabled. The third thing you need to do, and you need to do it each time you come into a Google Doc, is to hit Insert Z. This disables the JAWS Virtual PC cursor. which means that you'll be able to use a number of native Google keystrokes to do the basic things that you would typically do, like editing, navigating, and so on. And I will do that with Insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
Now, I'm in a document and I can navigate through it. I can read using the standard keystrokes we use for example, reading a Word document, right arrow letter by letter,
E, C, I,
control right arrow,
India.
word by word,
4. Meatballs.
line by line, down arrow.
Makes misspelled approximately 7-8 misspelled meatballs anything.
Don't worry about the misspellings. And let me just talk about other keystrokes that are the same. We can put it in say all with insert down arrow, caps lock down arrow.
Makes approximately 7-8 meatballs anything. Heading level 2 ingredients.
Other basic keystrokes we can use are control home to get to the top of the document,
Top of file. Heading level 1 recipe for meatballs.
control end, bottom of document, home to give you line, end of line. We can also select text in similar ways. Shift down arrow, for example, selecting line by line. And then control C to copy, control X to cut, control V to paste. Some familiar keystrokes. I'll select this first line, shift down arrow.
Selected. Recipe for meatballs.
I can italicize, control I.
Control I. Italic applied to selection.
I can bold, control B.
Control B. Bold applied to selection.
Underline, control U.
Control U. Underline applied to selection.
I can make this a heading 1, control Alt 1.
Alt Control 1. Selected. Recipe for meatballs heading level 1. Heading 1 style apply.
And that will work for other heading levels, control Alt 2, all the way up to control Alt 9. If I want to make it normal text style, control Alt 0.
Alt Control 0. Selected. Recipe for meatballs. Normal text style apply.
Now, really the only very basic keystrokes that are different is if I want to center the line, normally in Word, that would be control A. Here I can do control Shift E.
Control Shift E. Center alignment apply.
Left align, control Shift L.
Control Shift L. Left alignment apply.
So we have a lot of the same exact keystrokes as in Word for doing some of your basic formatting. How do we open the menus for docs? And those of you who aren't big fans of the ribbon menus in Microsoft Office will probably like what we have here a little bit better. It is more intuitive. And we do this by hitting Alt and F together. That will open the File menu. Now, every menu has a key of its own, but you want to know at least one of them so you can get on the menu bar. And that is Alt F for the File menu. Sometimes that won't work, and you try Shift Alt F if that doesn't. But I'll do Alt F and hope it works.
Alt Tab menu. File 1 of 9.
And we move along this menu bar to different other menu areas with right arrow and left arrow. There's, among other things, an edit menu, a format menu, an accessibility menu, and so on. The file menu is especially useful. Hold down arrow and we'll see some of the important commands here.
New and sub menu. Open O Control plus O. Make a copy C. Share as sub menu.
Here where we can share with other people. If I hit enter to open this, it will open a dialog where I can put in the email address of people I would like to share with.
Email E sub menu.
Email, if I hit enter on this, we have the option of attaching this Google Doc to an email as a PDF, a Word file. There are various other formats too.
Download D sub menu.
Download. Now download, this is especially useful if somebody has sent you a Google Doc and maybe you're just more comfortable navigating a Word document. I'll hit enter.
Enter. Microsoft Word left docs right X.
And I'll hit enter on that.
Enter. Leaving menus. Download complete recipe for meatballs docs. This dialog is not currently focused. Press Alt.
And that has sent this document as a Word file to my downloads folder, and I can now open it and read it there. This is something I do quite a bit, particularly for larger documents with headings in them. The one thing I will say about Google Docs is it is really not very good at all for navigating headings, be it with JAWS or with NVDA. So if somebody's just sharing a document and all you really need to do is read it, do yourself a favor, download it as a Word document, and navigate it that way if you're more familiar with Word. I'm going to open the file menu again.
Alt-Tab menu. File. 1 of 9. To move through items, press left or right arrow.
I'm going to keep down here.
New and sub open open make a cop share as sub email east download these approvals new and rename are.
Rename is very important if you're creating a document yourself, because the name of a file is simply untitled document. Until you give it a name, you're going to come down here, you're going to rename it with the name that you would like to give it. One other thing important to know, if you are creating docs yourself, these are auto-saved. So even if you do some work on a file and then Alt F4 out of it without saving it, it will save it in your Google Drive. Its title will be untitled document. So you will, of course, want to save it with a real name, and this is where you do it.
Move in.
We can move. This relates to different areas of Google Drive.
Add shortcut to drive.
Adding a shortcut to Drive. This will be important later when we talk about Google Drive, because if you're using Google Drive for desktop, you can create a shortcut and you will be able to access it from your desktop rather than going to Google Drive online. And there are a few others in here, but by far the most important, I think, are download, rename, email, and a couple of others. Let me escape out.
Escape.
Now, if you want to become more of a power user and deal with formatting, you can go to the Format menu. We do that with Alt and O together.
Alt-O menu. Format. 5 of 9. To move through items, press left or right arrow.
And if you've done much formatting of Word documents, and you down here through here, you'll see some things that are pretty familiar.
Text as submenu.
Submenus we open by right arrowing. I won't go in here, but here's where we see things like bold, italics, underline, but if you know those keystrokes already, you don't need to come here.
Paragraph styles P submenu.
Styles,
Align and indent a submenu.
alignment, indentation.
Line and paragraph spacing L submenu.
Again, these are submenus. You right arrow to open them, and you can change line spacing, paragraph spacing.
Columns and submenu. Bullets and numbering T submenu.
Bullets and numbering. These are nice also because there are quick keys to do them. So if you select some text that you'd like to bullet or number, Control-Shift-7 together will number a list. Control-Shift-8 will bullet that list. Control-Shift-9 will create check marks.
Headers and footers H.
Headers and footers,
Page numbers U.
page numbering,
Page orientation 3.
and a number of others. Now, one thing that I like about Google Docs, again, is that the menus are a little bit more intuitive than, let us say, with the ribbon menus. And really, what you can do, once you want to get into it a little bit more, is just explore the menus and find the commands you would like to use, and it really isn't that difficult. Now, what if you yourself would like to create a new Google Doc from scratch? There are various ways, but here's the easiest of all. I'm going to open Google Chrome on my desktop.
G. Google Chrome. Enter. Address and search bar edit.
And on the address bar, you type docs.new, docs.new.
D-O-C.new. Select C. Untitled S. Period N-E-W. Untype enter. Untitled document dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome
And
dash.
I'm in a file that, as I said, already has a name. I'll do insert T.
Title is Untitled document dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my quick keys, insert C.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
I'm going to type something here, the cat in the hat.
T-H-E-C-A-T-S-H-A-T. Enter. The cat in the hat.
And if I simply want to now save this, remember we have to rename it. I'll hit Alt and F together.
Alt-Tab menu. File. 1 of 9. To move through items, press left or right arrow.
I can down arrow to rename, or I can just hit the letter R. Every command in our menus has some quick keys, and if you listen, you'll hear what they are. But I'm going to hit R.
R. Leaving menus. Untitled document dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome dash David left paren David CCB right paren. Rename edit the cat in the hat. Type in text.
Similar to Word, it takes whatever is on the first line, and it suggests that as a title. I'll hit Enter.
Enter. Document content edit. Contains text.
I'll hit Insert T.
Title is The Cat in the Hat dash Google Docs dash Google Chrome dash.
And there we are. So that's the easiest way to create a new Google Doc. I now have a Google Sheet that's open. I'll I'll hit Insert T.
Title is Pet Adoption Statistics Quarterly Google Sheets Google Chrome.
Similar to Google Docs, one time only, we turn on screen reader support, Control-Alt-Z, I've already done that. Braille support, Control-Alt-H. But every time we come in, we need to turn off our virtual PC cursor, Insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
Now, if you are familiar with Excel at all, here are some things that are the same. We type in text the same way, we type in numbers, we type in formulas or functions the same way, always starting with an equal sign. And your basic formulas are all the same. For example, if you want to sum a column, equal, sum, left parentheses, first cell in the data range, colon, last cell in the data range, right parentheses. If you would like to edit a cell or have that content revealed to you, for example, a formula or function, F2, that is the same. Our menus are the same as with Google Docs. I will hit Alt and F together, and I will open the File menu.
Alt Tab menu. File, 1 of 10. To move through items, press left or right arrow.
I won't down arrow through it, but in the File menu, we have all the same things we had in Docs, where we can rename a file, where we can download it, in this case, as an Excel file, and all the other ones that I mentioned. I'm going to right arrow here, because there are some other useful ones.
Edit, 2 of 10.
Edit, if I up arrow here, is where we can delete rows and columns.
Find and replace F control. Delete D submenu.
I'll right arrow open.
Values V.
I'll down arrow.
Row 1D.
I'm on row 1, so if I hit enter on that, it'll get rid of row 1.
Column A.
Or column A, because that's what I'm on. I'll escape out.
Escape.
That's one I use a lot. I'll open the menus again, Alt and F together.
Alt Tab menu. File.
What if I want to insert a row or a column? I'll right arrow to insert.
Edit, 2 of 10. View, 3 of 10. Insert, 4 of 10.
And I'll down arrow.
Cell submenu. Rows R submenu.
Here is rows, where if I right arrow and open it, we'll see where I could insert rows.
Column C submenu.
Here we have columns. So these are some of the things that we can do.
Is leaving menus. Pet.
Now, some of you may be familiar with the define name command that we use in Excel so that column and row headers are read to us when we're moving around inside of the table. Very useful. We can create the same thing in Google Sheets via the accessibility menu, and we'll see how to do that. I want to first get to the cell that is the intersection of my column and row headers.
Pet type. Column header. A2.
Here it is cell A2, and I can quickly open the accessibility submenu by hitting Alt and A. Again, each of these file areas has a quick key of their own, but you want to know at least one of them. For example, the file menu, so you can get up onto the menu bar. I will hit Alt and A together.
Alt menu. Accessibility. 10 of 10. To move through items, press left or right arrow.
I'm going to down arrow here once.
Verbalize to screen reader as submenu.
Verbalize to screen reader is where we can make it so that our column headers are read to us when we're in the middle of the table, and our row headers. I'll hit enter here.
Enter. Verbalize formatting F.
I'm going to down arrow quite a few times to the correct place for column and row headers.
Verbalize, always verbalize row arc, verbalize column L control plus, verbalize row 2 on column changes W.
Verbalize row 2 on column changes. Why row 2? Because that's the one I'm on. This means if I hit enter on this, and I'm inside the table, as I right arrow and left arrow, the column header will be announced. I'll hit enter on that.
Enter. Leaving menus. Pet type. Column header.
I'm going to go back in. Alt A again, because I'd like the row headers read.
Alt menu. Accessibility. 10.
I'll down arrow once again to verbalize.
Verbalize to screen reader as submenu.
I'll either right arrow or hit enter. Open that.
Enter.
And I'll down arrow.
Verbalize number formatting N.
And I'm going to down arrow to verbalize column A on row changes.
Always verbalize row, verbalize column L control. Stop verbalizing. Verbalize column A on row changes U.
This is the one. Now I'll up arrow once.
Stop verbalizing row 2W.
That indicates that our row headers, our row 2 column headers are being read.
Verbalize column A on row changes U.
And I'll hit enter.
Enter. Leaving menus. Pet type. Column.
So this is similar to defined names, because by down arrow,
Dogs. A3.
and I right arrow,
Quarter 1. 36. B3. Quarter 1.
column header, by down arrow,
55. B4. Cats.
we hear the row headers. Unfortunately, unlike with Excel, you're going to have to do this each time you come in. It does not save it. But the important thing here is that if somebody shares a Google Sheet with you, there's a good amount of stuff you can do with it if you just learn a few keystrokes. And again, if you want to get more advanced, you can learn a lot simply by going into the menus, exploring around, and trying new things. Google Docs and Google Sheets and other Google file types are managed in Google Drive. You can access that in two places: online, as well as using Google Drive for desktop. Google Drive for desktop, you need to download it. You just search for it using your web browser, download it, then sign in with your Google account. And I prefer using Google Drive for desktop. I find it easier to teach and easier to use for managing my files. For me, the advantage is that if one knows how to manage files and folders on your PC, in your documents folder, places like that, you don't have a whole lot new that you have to learn. Whereas Google Drive Online, I feel, is a steeper learning curve. So how do we access Google Drive for desktop? I'm going to open this PC. If you have Windows E set as a keystroke to get into this PC, you can use that.
This PC. Items view multi-select list box. Devices and drives expanded. Windows left paren C colon right paren. 475 gigabytes 200.
So when you open this PC, you are put up at the level of your drives. Here's my C drive. And Google Drive for desktop resides at this level. You may know that OneDrive or Dropbox, if you have loaded Dropbox, reside in your user folder. Google Drive resides here at the level of your drives. I'm going to down arrow once.
David.Kingsbury at carol.org -- left paren I colon right.
That is my work Google Drive folder.
David Kingsbury 77 at gmail.com -- left per.
And that is my personal one. I'll up arrow to the work one.
David.Kingsbury at carol.org --
I'll hit enter to open it.
enter. David.Kingsbury at carol.org -- left paren I colon right paren. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected my drive. File folder.
And we have a My Drive folder. Now, because this is an institutional account at the Carroll Center, we have some additional folders. I'll down arrow.
Other computers. 2 of 3. Shared drives. 3 of 3.
But if you only have a personal account, you will only have
Other computer my drive. 1 of 3.
My Drive. And this is the same My Drive folder that you would find online if you went there to manage things. I'll hit enter.
Enter. My drive. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected CCB shared files. File folder.
Now, once you are in here, your folders are sorted, arranged, same way as in your documents folder, alphabetically, folders on top, A to Z, files below, A to Z, and you can first letter navigate, just like in your documents folder. I'm going to open a folder called Google Practice.
G. Google Workspace Practice folder. 7 of 27.
Enter.
Enter. Google Workspace Practice folder. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected copy of recipe for meatballs.doc. Google Docs 1 colon.
In many ways, this behaves the same as other cloud sharing applications like OneDrive or Dropbox. The only difference is Google Workspace app files can be stored here, like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. That cannot be done in OneDrive or Dropbox. And we've heard it say, I'll up arrow down arrow here again.
Desktop copy of recipe for meatballs.doc. 1 of 12.
Now that .doc, that's actually .gdoc. That means it is a Google Doc. We're in details view. By right arrow, we can hear it say that.
Date modified. Type. Google Docs. 1 of 1.
There we are.
Date modified. Copy of recipe for meatballs.doc. 1 of 12.
And if I were to hit enter, this would open in Google Docs online. I'm going to hit P for pet adoption statistics.
P. Pet adoption statistics quarterly sheet. 6 of 12.
That is a sheet. .g sheet. is what it says there. If I write here, we'll hear what file type it
Date
is.
modify type, Google Sheets, 1 of 1. Date mod pet adoption statistics quarterly dot sheet.
Now here too, if I were to hit enter, that would open it in Google Sheets. I can also store Word files, Excel files, really any other file type here. Let me down here once.
Pet adoption statistics quarterly dot XLSX, 7 of 12.
If I open this Excel file, it will simply open Excel. Same if I had a Word file here. But what if I wanted to open this in Google Sheets? I'm going to open my applications key,
Shift application context menu. To navigate, press up or down.
and I will down arrow a number of times to where it says open in Google Sheets.
Convert with the edit. New. Open as read dash on print. Open and protected. Move to 1. Transform edit and note the picture smart add to fave. Convenient to copy diagnostic. Open with Google copy. Open with Google Sheets. Oh.
There it is, and I'll hit enter.
Leaving menus. Google Workspace practice folder. Items view multi-select list box. Pet adoption statistics quarterly.xlsx. Microsoft Excel worksheet 12 kilobytes. 7 of 12. To move to an item, press the arrow keys. Untitled dash Google Chrome. Pet adoption statistics.
That has opened in Google Sheets. If I do insert T,
Title is Pet adoption statistics quarterly.xlsx dash Google Sheets dash Google Chrome.
there it is. Let me turn off my virtual PC cursor, insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
One thing I can do here is I can now resave that if I like as a Google Sheet. I'll hit Alt and F together.
Alt tab menu. File. 1 of 9.
In the file menu, I'll down arrow to where it says Save as Google Sheet.
New and sub menu. Open on control. Import I. Make a copy C. Save as Google Sheets U.
And I could hit Enter on that. If this was a Word file and I had opened it in Google Docs, we have the same thing, where I could save the Word file as a Google Doc.
Google Workspace practice folder. File folder.
Another thing you can do is you can share. I'll open my applications key again.
Shift Delta context menu. To navigate, press up or down arrow. Oh.
Down arrow.
Open a new prob. Open a new window to quick add transfer of open ensure open power copy die open with copy link share with Google Drive. S.
And if I were to hit enter on this opens a dialog where I can address an email to people I would like to share with collaboratively, send that email, and then they will be able to open it and work on it too. So, that is a bit of a whirlwind tour of the Google Workspace. I know there's a lot to absorb there, but the point is that without too much effort, you can get yourself up and going in the Google Workspace environment. It's not quite like having to learn a whole foreign language. It is definitely a different environment, but really not a very hostile one once you just start playing around with it a bit. I'll mention one other thing regarding Google Drive, or Google Drive for desktop. When you get your Gmail account, you automatically have access to Google Drive and all of these applications. You get 15 gigabytes of free storage with your Google Drive, which in terms of free cloud sharing is clearly the best deal. Dropbox is only a puny 2 gigabytes, and Microsoft's OneDrive is 5 gigabytes when we're talking about the free amount of storage that you get. So, if there are any questions, ready to take them for the remainder of our time.
Any questions? I'll make a comment. I don't use a screen reader, but I learned a lot about Google Drive. Anybody?
Yeah, what about, do any of these key commands, do they apply to, like, if you put Google Docs on your iPhone or on Mac, do these accessibility settings apply to that?
That's a totally different environment, and I frankly, you can use Docs and Sheets on your phone or an iPad. I personally just don't. I am very much a creature of the PC.
Are you familiar with Accessi?
With what?
The app Accessi?
I am not, no.
It's
Is that one that was around a long time ago? I'm not sure. Is that still around?
It is, and it's doing all kinds of new stuff.
Okay, all right, don't know that one. Any other questions?
So if they get to the ribbon, on like Microsoft Word, you just do the F1 and that gets you into everything you need to get to, like a ribbon.
You mean, are you talking about Word in Office?
I'm talking about Google Docs.
Yeah, well, in Google Docs, again, the idea of Google Sheets is when you're in and you set your accessibility settings the ways that I said, you can hit Alt and whatever the keystroke is of a particular menu item. However, you want to, like I said, you want to know at least one of them, and Alt and F for the file menu is sort of maybe the easiest to remember, because then you can left arrow or right arrow along the menu bar. But it's not ribbons, you're not in ribbons anymore. And a lot of people say, oh, thank goodness I'm not in the ribbons anymore. It's just these are the, sort of more like, kind of like your more classic type menus. But if you decide to become more of a power user, like with the ribbons, you start memorizing these shortcuts, like for example, Alt and A for the accessibility menu, Alt and O for the format menu, Alt and T for the tools menu. So you can memorize a bunch of these keystrokes, but like I say, you need to know at least one so you can get up on the menu bar. And then as you left arrow, right arrow between the menu areas, you get the menu area you want. You simply down arrow or up arrow to the commands, which I think is a little bit more intuitive for a lot of people.
Another question, like we create a document and we save it in a certain folder. Over here, you're saying it's gonna save on the cloud, on the Google Cloud. How can I also save it on my own folder somewhere where, let's say, I have a folder for accounting? Can I save it in the accounting folder? It's gonna just save on Google Drive.
Well, let me clarify that. I demonstrated Google Drive for desktop. When Google Drive for desktop simply means like OneDrive or Dropbox, simply there where you have a documents folder or whatever, you have a My Drive folder. And you can save, manage files, create folders in that folder the exact same way you would do it in your documents folder. However, everything that's in that My Drive folder on your desktop is also online. You can go to drive.google.com and manage things there. And many people do that. My personal preference is for Google Drive for desktop. I just find it much, much easier to manage things there. Whether it be Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive, you could manage all your files online up there too. I tend to think those are somewhat more hostile environments, and my strategy has always been, regardless of whichever of those programs we're talking about, I try to do as much on the desktop and not in the cloud as possible, but everything that you have on the desktop is mirrored up there in the cloud. That's the idea there. If I were to go to Google Drive online, you'd see a bunch of folders in there, and one of those would be the My Drive folder, which is the exact same folder I was navigating through before. So that's the idea of cloud sharing. Everything is on the cloud, but it can also be right there down on your desktop computer.
So it can be there. Okay, thank you.
Well, it will be in both places. Again, the drive for desktop, you might decide, gee, no, I don't want to load that at all. I would just rather do everything online. My own experience is when they came out with Google Drive for desktop, in my mind, that was a big game changer. I generally, frankly, couldn't stand the Google environment because I couldn't stand Google Drive online. So that's somewhat personal preference, has to do with what you grew up with, which was not something like that. But once you have the desktop version, it's like, oh, I can manage things here, just like I been managing things in my documents folders for years. So that's the attraction of Google Drive for desktop. I just find it more user-friendly than doing things online. But you could do it all online if you wanted to.
All right, thank you.
Hope that helps.